Another activity that my husband and I engaged in while we were at our wellness retreat was to basically evaluate some of the habits that we were engaged in. And we evaluated those habits to see whether or not they were conducive for us to really be productive when it came to our health journey. And if they weren't productive or they weren't conducive to our embarking on our health journey, then we had to really examine why we were participating in such activities. And by activities, I mean as far as perhaps eating chocolates, or why we felt the need to eat certain things that are not healthy for us, such as refined carbs or sugar. Why did we feel as if our bodies needed these things that really aren't beneficial to our health? And one of the things that activity really led us to looking further into amino acids and how they help us. And a lot of times it's not because we don't have the willpower, or it's not because we don't have that discipline, but it's because our bodies or our brain is missing these essential components that respond to certain things or give us those signals to tell us that we don't need to engage in a particular activity, whether it's eating certain things like those refined carbohydrates, or perhaps even to a very extreme state of using street drugs, or even caffeine or chocolate and things like that. What is it that our bodies are asking from us that we have a deficiency in, or our bodies aren't producing enough of? So that led us to an examination of amino acids. And just basically what I'm going to do today, I'm creating a series speaking about amino acids and their functions, and some particular ones that I'm in the process of researching and trying to figure out how they connect with us in our weight loss journey. What amino acids are? They're an organic compound that are the basic building blocks to form proteins. And our bodies have tens of thousands of different proteins, each with a specific function. Some of the major types of proteins consist of structural proteins, which give our hair the ability to not be fragile. It makes our hair tough and able to withstand certain things. Like if the wind is blowing, our hair isn't just going to crumble to pieces. Then there are storage proteins, which provide amino acids for growth. Seeds and eggs are examples of elements that use proteins for this specific function. Then there are contractile proteins, which enable our muscles to contract and move back and forth. So when we go to the gym and we weight train, it's those contractile proteins that are responsible for the lifting and the pulling motion in our bodies. Now, amino acids, as I mentioned, are those organic compounds that combine to form proteins. They consist of three base pairs, which are carbon atoms, carboxyl group, amino group, and the hydrogen atom, which consist of all the 20 amino acids. So all the 20 amino acids have these three basic forms, components within them, and they make up those tens of thousands of proteins that we have in our bodies that help us to perform certain various functions that are essential to life. The way that these 20 amino acids are able to formulate these tens of thousands of different proteins is through the structural arrangement. And whatever sequence that these amino acids are in are referred to as the protein's primary structure. And that structure determines the function of the protein. Now, an enzyme is a combination of different proteins that have some similarity to their function, their codes, and they get their codes or their messages from the amino acids. The combination of proteins results in such activities as breathing. They help us with our digestion and various other functions that our bodies need. Enzymes are a special type of protein, and they allow for us to have various biological functions. They either speed it up or they control how those biological functions operate. Then the next part I want to get into is one of the amino acids that I wanted to really research and find out more information on this week. This particular enzyme, amino acid rather, is called the L-Tyrosine. The L-Tyrosine, it's, as I mentioned, it's a amino acid. The catecholamine metabolic pathway in VO starts with the amino acid L-phenylalanine, which gets converted into L-tyrosine by the enzyme phenylalanine. The L-tyrosine then gets converted into the compound L-dopa or LDOPA via tyrosine hydroxylase. L-dopa is then decarboxylated via aromatic L-amino acid, decarboxylase into dopamine, which later turns into noradrenaline via oxidation from the enzyme dopamine beta hydroxylase. And then it's finally converted into adrenaline via phenylethanolamine and methyltransferase. The last three compounds, dopamine, Na, and adrenaline, are collectively referred to as catecholamines. The rate-limiting step in this formula is the enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase. So, all of that is very technical, but to basically understand it, you want to look at it like this. Amino acids create proteins. Proteins create enzymes. So if you think of it as puzzle pieces that all connect to one another, and if one piece is missing, then the other ones will not fit together. Or you can look at it as a chain. And if one piece is missing, then the whole chain is going to be out of whack, or it's not going to really be able to function. Or if one of the chains are weak and one of the links are weak in the chain, then it's going to cause that chain to not react the way that it should and not function the way that it should, which is to either prevent something from coming in or lock up a gate, what have you. But it's not going to function to the best of its abilities. And so each of those technical terms that I mentioned, one converts into the other, and so if we don't have one of those pieces, then we're not going to be able to function as well as we should. And that's where those cravings and the mood swings and things of that nature come into play. If we supplement with this L-Tyrosine, then it's important to remember that the only way that that supplement is going to work is that if our the substrate or the adrenalines haven't been maxed out. So it's important to kind of know where your levels are before you start to supplement with anything. Now, our bodies can manufacture tyrosine from the amino acid phenylalanine. However, dietary tyrosine consumption is still very important. If we're undergoing stressful situations, our bodies may not be able to manufacture enough tyrosine. So it's important to make sure that we have a diet rich in tyrosine, L-tyrosine, so that we can have those backups or the reserves of that amino acid. In some ways that we're able to get this L-tyrosine is through chicken, turkey, or milk, cheese, yogurt, and cottage cheese. Now, if you are a vegan or vegetarian, you can still get that source of L-tyrosine from peanuts, almonds, avocados, bananas, lima beans, pumpkin seeds, and sesame seeds. So L-tyrosine acts as a precursor to synthesize neurotransmitters, or send those messages so that these neurotransmitters can synthesize. The L-tyrosine also helps to stimulate the central nervous system. It acts as an adaptogen by relieving physical symptoms of stress, such as mood swings. If you're being chronically stressed out, then we may not be properly converting phenylalanine to L-tyrosine. So it is essential that we make sure that we eat the proper things that help to support our bodies to have this backup of the L-tyrosine in case we're in a situation where we're stressed out or we're feeling under pressure, so that it helps to relieve those symptoms of stress. It's also important, L-tyrosine is also important because it serves as a precursor for the thyroid hormone thyroxine and melanin. And melanin is responsible for our pigmentation and our hair color, and it helps to protect against UV rays. In addition, L-tyrosine stimulates growth hormone and is involved in adrenal and the pituitary function. L-tyrosine is a powerful antioxidant. It helps to scavenge and search and find any free radicals that may be inhibiting our body or inhibiting fat oxidation, and it helps to neutralize those free radicals. The body uses L-tyrosine to produce or to send a message to produce dopamine and other chemical processes. The neurotransmitters are really, really essential in regulating our emotions. So again, when I was speaking about feeling like you don't really have that motivation or that self-will or willpower, then you may be having low levels of L-Tyrosine, because you may be feeling anxious, you may be feeling sad, depressed, and frustrated because your body is not producing enough of these neurotransmitters to send out these messages of just being able to cope with stress. L-Tyrosine can also help with your concentration levels and can help you to stay alert. And another thing that, my husband and I, and I'm sure other people, may really, really be interested in is it's said that it can help with your weight loss. Dopamine can help suppress your appetite. It can lower your body fat. So if your body isn't producing enough of these chemicals, then you may find that you're putting on more weight, or the weight that you have, if it's in excess, you might find it difficult for you to be able to lose weight. So all of these things are, just a few things that I found about that amino acid, L-Tyrosine. And of course, I'll put up the spelling of it, but I just want to reiterate some of the sources that you can get this L-Tyrosine from in a natural way, or it's from your food. It's from chicken, turkey, dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese, peanuts, almonds, avocados, bananas, lima beans, pumpkin seeds, and sesame seeds. So these are all good food sources for this amino acid. And if you find that, you are experiencing some of these emotions, or you find that you are substituting certain habits or certain foods that aren't really conducive to your health journey, you may want to look into whether or not your body is producing enough L-Tyrosine, and try to substitute some of these other healthy food choices for the choices that you're making currently. Thank you.